I will record.
That's what Nina's doing.
What is making that noise? Hello?
Amy.
I think it might be Amy. Amy, is that by you?
Muted
Oh,
herself.
Amy.
I just muted her. Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Hey, Jackie, how's your leg?
On the way
Jackie's
back to the doctor. Go on, Melissa, you can tell him.
Jackie has 2 stitches that didn't want to leave, and they were found in her knee later on. So she's back to the doctor today to get 2 more stitches taken out. Would you like me to share the picture, Jackie?
Yeah,
No.
Jackie illustrated her excuse for having to leave class early by sending me a photograph of the dog ate my homework.
Yeah, it looks like jaws at me. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes. It'll get better.
Okay.
It'll get better, yeah.
Melissa,
I'll be with you for a few minutes.
Okay. Amy, I'm sorry, we're not trying to accuse you of anything untoward. It's just that we were having some kind of feedback, so I was trying to figure out if it was possibly you. Now I'm trying to unmute you, but you're not unmuting, so you can try to unmute yourself and see if it's better now. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so far so good. So whatever it was went away. Okay. Yeah, your microphone is a little bit funny, but you're not making any extra noise. So
My microphone is funny?
Well, now it's not. A minute ago it was sounding staticky and now it's not. So I'm not sure what's going on.
So I'll stay muted unless I want to talk.
No, so right now you're fine. So it's okay. All right. Wow, we have so much to do today, and I'm sure you have other places you'd rather be. So, no, Paula, oh, I love you. Thank you. But let's get down to business. And part of that will be getting to know each other. Okay. So I would like to start today.
Before we start on the icebreaker, let me just say, hi, I'm really happy that you're all here.
Yay.
Okay. I'm really happy that you're all part of this team. I'm really happy that even though some of you are continuing, some of you are starting, some of you have different things, some of you are kind of leaving, not leaving, yes, leaving, less leaving. We don't forgive Jackie, but because she's sort of broken, then we forgive her just a little. Aside from that, we don't forgive her. Sharon, we wouldn't have forgiven, but we sort of got her back partially, so we only forgive her partially. And
or
all the rest of you,
partially.
well, yeah, you know, I mean, it's half.
Whatever.
Totally forgive Jackie.
So
forgive Jackie.
And I forgive Jackie just for a year, and then maybe I won't forget her again. But I forgive her for sort of. Okay, and she has a new grandchild, so I forgive her a little more.
Yay.
But aside from that, we're going into a very unknown time, and the fact that you guys are willing to get on board and read with me is not to be taken for granted. Most of the other mechuzot, I sit in the pikuach meetings, and all of their counselors and people are leaving, and they're not coming back, and they can't find counselors, and they can't find people to lead with them.
Why?
What?
Why?
I think they disappeared in Corona, and then they never came back.
Got stuck in Zoom someplace.
Oh no, I think that I think that a lot was put on them, and they didn't feel like they belonged, or they were just let go, or and I fought for days this year, and I fought to get these things up and running, and maybe they didn't, and I don't really know what's going on, but I know that every machos they asked me for people, and I said no, but they did, and so I don't take it for granted, and I'm really touched, and thank you for joining us and staying or joining or not leaving, and Jackie will deal with her later. But in general, I really don't take it for granted. We have a lot of work, and it's a lot of unknown, and it's kind of freaky, and that's okay. We kind of freak together. That's the way we do it.
Keeps life interesting.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's not like leaving the toilet seat up or down, or not doing the toothpaste. But on the other hand, it is what it is. And I think that Reed is starting in a different place than a lot of other machuzot. And I think that that's a bonus for us, for what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be doing it. And I think that that I'm just really, I really am touched that you're all doing this, and you're all staying and not going, and that more people are coming because it means that we're doing something right. And that's great feedback.
Yep.
So thank you. And on that note, Melissa, shoot.
Okay, so we will get to know each other, but first I would like to share a game with you. I would like to play one little round of Box of Lies. And if you're not familiar with the game, I have the instructions here on the screen. Okay, I have in my box an object. Okay, I am going to give you clues to what is in my box. Okay, and then you need to decide if I'm lying or if I am telling the truth. Okay, and it's not exactly the same as this because I'm only playing myself. Okay, so I look inside my box. Okay, and then I have to tell you what I have inside my box. Okay, inside my box, I have something with very sharp, pointy teeth. It's definitely not something you would think is inside of a box. And if I were to let it go in my backyard, I would be very, very sorry.
Are we supposed to, like, how does the game go now?
Now you, after I give a few more hints about what it is, you need to try to guess what it is, and you need to try to guess, but you need to try to, first you try, what it says here, the challenge for the player is to convince the opponent that they're lying when they're actually telling the truth, or conversely, appearing to tell the truth when they're actually lying. Players who are able to trick their opponent will win the round, and failure to do so means that the opponent wins, okay? So, what I have inside my box, okay, is a full-grown, scaly reptile that I had tremendous difficulty capturing in order to keep inside my box, and I cannot wait until I let it go. Debbie, truth or
Now
lie?
a lie. I don't know, unless you're extremely brave or got one of your kids to catch that thing.
Okay, well, I am telling the truth.
Oh, it doesn't have to
Okay, anyway, so it's really fun at the beginning of a community to have some kind of an icebreaker, you know, different things, different times, things that they could do with their students to bring the Zoom to life a little bit. And I think that the name of my game is always trying to figure out how to bring, like, so that I can touch things and do things with my hands, and like Nati, stand up and stretch and use the different parts of my brain as I'm working in a Zoom, so that our students really feel a little bit of the vibrancy of what they would feel in a classroom. And I think that that's something that I'm going to work on bringing into you know, communities as much as possible this year. So two of the links that I have here, the top link is instructions about Icebreaker, and the second one is to Jimmy Fallon playing Truth Box of Lies with Chris Pratt. I would love to have everybody 30 seconds introduce themselves. Where have you been and where are you going next year? And let's start with our outgoing lead teachers. I'm going to unshare my screen, okay, so that we can all see each other.
It's not a new lead teacher.
No, these are the past lead teachers. I'm sorry if I misspoke. Jackie, are you still with us? Oh, she's gone already. Okay, Jackie was a lead teacher for 2 years in Emet Hefer, and she retired a year ago from teaching, and now she's finally retiring from being a lead teacher as well, and we wish her the best of luck with her traveling and her grandchildren and all of her other plans. And taking over for her is, please introduce yourself. Nati?
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay. Nati, my name is Nati. In 30 seconds, what would you like to hear? I've been a teacher for 24 years. I work in Alana Yitzchak. Last few years I've been a coordinator, junior high coordinator. Junior high is really important to me, even though I'm a teacher in high school too. I love moving around. I believe that moving is the source of any success. I believe that without moving, that it's like very much into the Latin kind of remark, mens sana in un corpore sano, which is healthy brain in an healthy body. You got to move. And that's it. I like
Thank you.
to see things differently in a different angle, which includes also moving all the time.
Thank you very, very much, Nati. And Nati is her first language is Italiano, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Italian, professionally English, and then Spanish and French, and I know 5 languages, so
Uh-huh.
I'm a
Okay.
bit all over the place.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nati. Okay. Sandra is not with us. She had a previous commitment. Sandra is from Yarden, from the Beit Shan, the Emek Habika. Don't know which language I'm speaking. And this year, that area will be a virtual. Sandra's retiring as well. She'll be teaching a few hours in school this year before she completes retirement. And I'll be hopefully running a virtual community, which will involve the schools in that area. Debbie, please introduce
You know
yourself.
you're on share screen?
Yeah, so I wanted
Okay.
everybody to see the names, and I'm going to stop the share again.
Okay. Well, I did a PLC past year in the Western Galil, in Amy's area. It was the first year of this PLC. I think taking everything into consideration, it went well. You know, there were things that went better, things that went not as good. I hope that it'll just continue to grow next year under Yarden. I taught in Herzliya for 25 years and lived in Ra'anana, and this is a different type of moving, Nati. I decided to move up north, and now I've been teaching at a 6-year school on Kibbutz Ofek in Evron. It's a very, very interesting school because it is a very pluralistic school. We have kids from first of all, Tzadal children, and we have kids from Akko, and we have kids from Nahariya, and we have like random kids from all over in different places. So I love the school.
And you have very exciting plans for next year.
Yes, I have very exciting plans. Melissa says she's in a box all the time. If I'm not in a box, when I'm not checking the Bagrut exams, I am having so much fun looking up things about blended learning, and I'm actually making a site right now. I was inspired by Adele, all about basically teaching 21st century teaching in Corona times. So I'm having tons of fun with that. So I'll be giving a part of a course next year about blended learning.
And she'll be helping us with our course. And in addition to that, inside your school, you're working on developing a program for blended learning as well.
Yeah, it looks like when I started that, I thought we'd be back at school and I'll be doing blended learning. Now it looks like it's kind of the deep.
Right. But in any case, I'm sure you'll have a big influence in your school, and we're looking forward to hearing about that during the year. Yarden is taking over the Galil community. Introduce yourself.
Hi, Yarden from, I teach in Yagor in Carmel Zvolun. I've been there for 25, 26 years already. Been a teacher for 34. I'm very trepidatious about this. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this. I hope it'll work out well. One tidbit, I was very happy about the listening comprehension on E this year. I actually speak Esperanto, or I learned Esperanto. So I'm also working on things, getting ready for the year. I'm the counselor in the high school, and we're trying to get a Google Classroom program going on for Yud Aleph to teach them online how to write projects, how to write research papers. Again, we have to really reinvent ourselves, and this is a great opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Yardain. Thank you very much for joining us, and I am sure you will do a great job. And let's see. Sharon, you're kind of stuck in the middle, so you get to speak next. Introduce yourself, where you were, and where you're going.
First of all, I'm not on any list, so maybe that just.
I didn't write your name. Or maybe I couldn't decide where to write you. Holy
Right.
cow. Look at that. That was a total, oops.
Yep.
No, because I was saying Sharon, well, is she an outgoing teacher, or is she a lead teacher, or staying, or what? And so, which is why you got stuck in the middle.
Aha. So
You know, I know what I'll do. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
I'll always be here. I'll always be here. We had a community on the Golan, and after Melissa gave a year, I gave another couple of years. And I'm handing over to Martine, who's going to be the lead teacher for the Golan Galil community. She has the most wonderful, wonderful community. It really was a pleasure, an honor to be part of it. And I think we've grown so much that I'm not going to leave, but I'll be there. I'll be around. But Martine is gonna. I'm handing over to Martine.
There you go. Is that better? I put you in the middle.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. I like being in the middle.
Okay.
I can't thank Reed enough. I really think that that we have the most amazing, amazing team. I really do. And I'm never leaving. I'm going to be part of it in some way or another. And here I am. I'll just be popping up every time. Every meeting you have, I'll pop up and say a few words.
Sharon was the coordinator in Gvanim High School in Katzrin in the very formative years of developing their Gvanim program of large learning centers, learning rooms. I'm probably messing it up by saying it, where all the students are learning independently in this large space and the teachers are facilitating their learning. She's done a lot of that, and she's continuing to do counseling in that area around the country. And Martine.
I'll want to speak to you about that, Sharon.
I'm happy to speak to anyone.
Okay.
Great. Okay, Martine.
Okay, hi. I think I'm in the unique position of receiving a lot of inheritance. I inherited the staff from Nofei Golan, and I didn't have to do much because they're just amazing. I got them amazing, and they continue to be amazing. Our community, I'm not totally inheriting because Sharon has promised me that she'll stay. It was a condition. And again, amazing community. Our school is special. Something amazing happened this week where they did like a 3-day Hishtalmut to help teachers on the whole school, not just English, with the digital tools. And 2 or 3 of us English teachers are there. And I was like absolutely astounded to see that because of Reed, we were just I just knew everything. And I'm not digitally fantastic at all. And it was just amazing how I just felt like we got all of this through the summer so many times that we almost like far ahead of most of the teachers there, which was a really good feeling. And thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We wish you luck this year. Yofi, so who's next? Zimrat.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Zimrat. I teach in Neve Chana. Last year I led the Gush Etzion community together with Melissa. We have a small group. Hopefully next year it's going to grow. It was a very interesting and inspiring experience for me. I have to say that I felt a little bit like Yarden, who I wasn't sure what I was going into. It turned out to be like the most amazing professional step I made in the past few years. And I want to connect to Martine, when they sent out like the Yom HaArchut for our school, and they presented the schedule, like not most of the stuff, all the stuff that's there for things that we were introduced, and we did the courses, during the Corona time with Reed. Plus, I was asked to present as a peer sharing the choice board that we were working on with the blended learning. And I just felt like I've never known Reed before so well before I became a PLC leader. And thank you. And I'm so happy to be part of this amazing group. I really am.
Okay. Thank you, Zimrat. Gabi.
Hi everyone, I'm Gabi. I live in Be'er Ganim in the south. Last year, Adele and I led the Western Negev PLC. The year started rocky. We had lots of sirens at the beginning of the year, and then we had floods in the south, and then we got the corona. So we had, I think, everything we could have imagined last year. But the group continued, and we had a really nice bunch of teachers in the community, in which we shared many ideas. I feel like I grew as a teacher, being a lead teacher, being in the center and gathering and facilitating basically what was going on. I'm lucky to be with Adele, who is so creative and amazing and has all these original ideas every time we meet up. And I look forward to continue working. And I just want to say to all the newcomers, we all worked together as a group. It wasn't that each one of us had our own community. We all worked together also as a community. I felt like I was part of two communities, not just one.
Absolutely.
Yes, and it's like AA, it's a great support group, and we share ideas and we get ideas, and we say what works and what doesn't work, and it really helps. And I'll add to what Zimrat and Martin said also. I saw Khativa this week, and suddenly she realized that what we were doing in the English staff was stuff that isn't going on in other staffs. And they've asked me in school to already start doing Zooms on choice boards and other things which they've never seen before. So sometimes it's best to keep quiet.
Well, I'm glad that Zimrat and I teach together in the same school. I'm really happy she took the heat on this one. I'll come and I'll watch. I'll applaud. I'm really happy that you're doing that, Zimrat. Okay, wow. Tal, I should have introduced Tal as she's taking over one of Sandra's communities. Sandra actually had two communities last year, one in the Jordan Valley and one in the Ra'anana, Kfar Batya area. So Tal is taking that community. So Tal, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tal. This year will be my 13th year being an English teacher. I teach in Herzliya, and I live in Ra'anana. So Debbie, I think we kind of switched up a bit.
Yeah, where are you in Herzliya?
I work in Atid Raziel. We used to be called Aneh back in the day. Yeah, it's a pretty small school, 6-year school. And as of next year, besides being what are we calling this? PLC? I'm still learning the terminology.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to be a homeroom teacher for 7th graders, which I haven't done in the 7th grade since my first year teaching. I kind of tried to stay away from the young ones, but they roped me into it. So I'll be teaching them English as well, and 11th and 12th graders. And besides that, I also know Judy through another connection. I'm the concessions coordinator. Is that what we call it? Accommodation, sorry. Accommodation coordinator. Rekezet hatamot. So,
is that a joke? Concessions as opposed to accommodations? Because it actually is very appropriate, Judy.
I've heard it being called both, though I wasn't sure what the official term was in English.
Concessions makes me think of like popcorn and pizza
that's
at a football game.
Stand in a movie theater, that's true.
We're conceding to give them hatamot.
Oh, just take the hakra'ah.
Share that one with Talasher.
It's going to be a very interesting year, and I'm very excited, and I'm also a little bit worried because I'm not a very technological person, or at least I wasn't. And now after the corona, everyone looks at me in my school like I know all this stuff because I've been to some of the meetings, the READ meetings, and they were very helpful. And I used quite a few tools, but I still feel like I'm a newbie and I have a lot to learn.
Okay, we all do. Thank you, Tal. We wish you best of luck this year. Thank you for joining us. And Paula.
Hi, I'm Paula Rifkin, and I've been doing the PLC in Shalabim. I absolutely loved it. I just really enjoyed it. I got so much out of it. We're hoping to carry on this year. It was actually a really big group. It was like 28 people. It was fun. Looked forward to it every single month. It was really good fun. As far as the situation in my school, so I teach in Yeshivat Shalabim. The yeshiva is a bit backwards when it comes to technology and forward thinking. We're pretty good with the relationship between the teachers and the students, but technology is really not the forte in the school, to the extent that but when I suggested a couple of things, they kind of said to me, the Rakezet of what's it called, pedagogy. So she said to me, maybe you shouldn't do that. I'm not sure. I think maybe we should all be doing the same. So they're actually holding me back technologically, as opposed to doing exactly what you guys said was going on. Well, I don't know. We've got a Yom Arachot or whatever Martin said that they had in their school. Everyone's having it in their school, to learn how to do technology. So, they tick all the boxes and they say they're going to do it, but I don't know, a bit suspicious with what's going to actually happen this year in the school. Because people were managing to put things up on the Moodle, and people were using a lot of email and WhatsApp groups instead of sites and Google Drive and Classroom, whatever. So I don't exactly know what's going to happen this year. So they think that they're technologically quite advanced. I don't.
Well, we wish you best of luck with that, Paula.
This year I'm actually qualifying as a teacher.
Oh, Mazal
Finally.
I'm
actually going to be a teacher in Israel.
It's about time,
Sorry.
lady.
We've been waiting for you, Paula.
We have.
I've had such fun doing it. I recommend everyone goes back to college. It's such fun.
I have a brand new teacher here in Efrat. I mean, he just made Aliyah, but he's not a brand new teacher. And I said, you know what? Do yourself a favor. You're intelligent, you're dynamic, you're motivated. Go take methodology courses at Herzog and learn how we teach English here in Israel and get a real handle on it. And hopefully he's going to do it. Okay, so Haley. Hi. Open your mic. There you go.
I did. I'm Haley, and I've had a community in Reed for the last, I think it's only 2 years, and I had a community before that in Bet Shemesh. My community in Reed moves each year because I can't stay in the same place for too long. So we started out in Kanot, and then we moved to Betuvia, and we're on the move to, what do you call that place? Yad Binyamin. Yad Binyamin this year. I take the same ladies with me. We've not found any men yet add on board, but the same ladies follow me wherever I go. They're very sweet and they're just incredible. I've learned so much from them. Really, they're very loyal to one another, and they work very hard and share with each other, and it's a lot of fun. I'm just very worried that we're not going to see each other this year, and it's going to be on Zoom, and sessions are going to be shorter. So we'll see how it pans out. They really miss them. We have a WhatsApp group together, and everybody shares things that they find, and they're very active with one another. So hopefully, really hope that we get to see each other at least a few times during the year. I don't know. Maybe I'll split them into groups and I'll meet them 10 at a time. I'm happy to do that, Judy.
Interesting idea.
I'm really, really
So we
happy to do
have
that.
to do a lot of creative, that I have a whole slide about that, so we're going to save that conversation, but we're going to have to do some creative brainstorming about how to create a sense of community. Like we've heard from Haley, had 2 years in Beit Shemesh plus 2 years, and this is her 5th year as a community lead teacher, if I'm not mistaken. And that's a lot of experience, and you have this certain expectation for what's going to happen, and we really have to talk about how to transfer that over into what's not. I purposely didn't introduce Adele and Amy and myself. We're counselors. There are other people on the counseling team as well, but we're not officially lead teachers, even though we kind of dip our hands into the mixture and we participate. I consider myself a participant in Zimrat's community.
Yeah, we're just Zoom bombing.
Yeah, exactly. And more than that, really participating and learning. And I just love to being able to just like, and just sit and really refresh and, reboot, as I participate as a member of the community. And I really love that. So thank you, Zimrat, for giving me that opportunity.
I want to say something about that just for a sec. The idea in the beginning was to have lead teachers work with their counselors in their region, because the counselors really know their teachers, or at least their coordinators. And we thought it would be a good way to empower other people and still keep, not freak anyone out. But then we saw that you guys were really good at it without your counselors. So then we figured we didn't really need that anymore. Paula did it without a counselor at all, and she just swam in the water, just like whatever. So, and I mean, everybody, Gabi and everybody just did it. I mean, the counselor was there, and it was really good that they were there. Sharon's been doing it for years without a counselor present. Jackie was the counselor, and then she wasn't. But in general, I'm less. I think it's less necessary. In the beginning, I kind of wanted to have that mentor help, but I see that you guys really don't need it. And if you do, then we are here, especially at the beginning of the year, which I'll talk about a little bit about what the office is saying about the beginning of the year. But the one thing that I do want to say before I say anything else is that a lot of times you guys are going to get stuff from me that's official, but not yet advertised. I do want to talk about it just for half a second, because a lot of times, like today, I'm going to be sharing a few things with you that I share with the counselors, and I share with you, not just the jokes on the WhatsApp, but other things that stay here. Okay? Sometimes, because official information, especially lately, keeps changing every so often, and I might share something with you and then it might go away. But I do want to keep you beyond where your people are, so that if they ask you, you do know a little bit more. Okay, I don't want you to ever feel like you don't know what's going on, or that somebody knows something more than you. So when I put things on an all coordinators, usually I send it out to you guys first, even if it's only 5 minutes before. Okay, on the Bagrut, it wasn't really like that. I sent it out to everybody. But aside from a Bagrut Day, which is incredibly dynamic, this isn't rocket science and it's not brain surgery. So like another 5 minutes, nothing is going to happen. And I'll generally send it out to you. And sometimes I'll even send things out to you and say, please share with your communities. Okay, you don't have to. And I send it to an all community list. But sometimes if it's something that more teachers, I want them to get firsthand, I'll say to you, please share with your community. Okay, it's just moving a WhatsApp. It's just forwarding a WhatsApp. It's not like I'm asking you to go and knock on their doors. But in general, when it comes from you and it comes shared in the WhatsApp group, then it's something more that connects you. That feeling of belonging becomes even more, because then they can go, oh my God, really? All right, and there's reaction and reaction. One of the things that that Gabi will get used to, because she was the community leader and now she's a thing, is that you'll probably have a broadcast group called counselors. Gabi counselor, not Gabi community leader. But the communities never have a WhatsApp broadcast group. They're always allowed to have that kvetch, like kvetchy, kitschka, AA, whatever you want to call it, that place to sort of share stuff and give reactions, okay? which is totally different than sometimes what we do in counseling. So it's sort of like a balance, and I like it. I like the fact that you guys are less formal, but I do try and keep you up to date. All right, so I will be telling you things that'll blow your ears off later on in the PowerPoint. Yeah, Ames?
I just wanted to bring up that when the community is not a broadcast, Debbie can confirm there were some issues in the Western Galilee, because sometimes you have people that want to post 275 things, 200 of which are relevant and 75 which are cartoons.
Share.
And some other people found that overwhelming and left the group, which was a bit of a shame. So I don't know, I think it might be worth thinking about that happy medium, because part of the community is indeed talk to each other. But it was a shame that someone felt the need to actually leave the group because
So
he was
I actually, okay, thank you. That's an
Well, I
interesting
just
point.
would
I
like
just
to bring
wrote it.
something up that I did speak to the sharer, and she stopped, and the person who had left did come back. So it is something that
So,
can
right.
be.
So I was about to say, I just wrote it down. We're going to talk about how to develop an atmosphere in your group, and the differences between Zoom communities versus face-to-face. And I think I just wrote it down, and we can bring, we can revisit that point when we get there, because I think it's an important point, that maybe if you just like in a classroom, if you set the rules in advance about what types of conversations are okay on the group and what types of conversations are not okay on the group, or too much, because I think everybody knows when they're in a WhatsApp group that's just like way overactive, how disruptive it can be, no matter how much some people think that it might be very helpful. Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you, Amy. Amy, we saw that you're going to have to leave soon because you have something else that you need to do, but thank you for joining us, Amy, for as long as you could. Okay, I have a panel here, a panel of colors, and what I would like to do, I'm going to be calling on the the lead teachers to share some of their wisdoms. Okay, so for opening, let's see, I would like to call on Sharon to choose a color, first of all. Open your blank.
Purple, please.
Okay. Oh, I can't do it when it's in the best laid plans of mice and men. Okay, purple. The question is, how do you create an atmosphere of sharing in your community?
Ooh. I think the first and most important thing about the community was to have a feeling of trust. That everything that anyone did was accepted. We could talk about things. Nobody criticized. If there was anything to say, it was always going to be done in a loving and an embracing way. I think that was the first and main thing that we needed to do in our community, was to build an atmosphere of trust, first of all.
And how did you do that?
How did we do that? I don't take credit for this, but I do think that the same as I had done in class, the way I do things in class, I think it was very similar to the way I did it in the community, which is a lot of activities that brought us together, a lot of opening up before we started the serious business, making sure that we knew each other deeply knew each other, not just superficially, but actually getting to know each other properly, working in different pairs, groups, etc., etc., the same as we did in class, that we would do in class with our pupils. But I think that the ABC, the main thing of a community is the feeling of trust. If there's not a feeling of trust and not a feeling of, yes, we can not 100% agree on everything, but we're going to respect each other, then the community, in my opinion, people will not share. And we did have it grew. It didn't happen within a minute. It didn't happen straight away, but it grew. Session by session, it grew. And we worked on it all the time. It was not something that we stopped. And when there were problems, we talked about the problems and we opened up about the problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just a one-man show. It was everybody sharing. I would maybe put something forward, but then everybody would share and everybody gave to the community. And I don't think it was one person who sat back and didn't do anything. It was a group effort. And when someone didn't come, for example, people would get worried about why that person didn't come. And 99% of the sessions, everybody came, which sort of means that there was that atmosphere of sharing. And it was sharing the food, and it was sharing everything that happened. And if someone
sharing the responsibility of carrying the community.
Yeah, that was how we created it. And we created it, and people talked about that all the time.
Thank you so much. Okay.
And by the way, if someone was sick as well, then people got together to help that person who was sick.
Wow, it's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sharon. Would somebody else like to share as well? An answer to this question? Haley. Yes.
Yeah. I think to make a clear understanding from the beginning that it's not a Hishtalmut. It's something very different. And we talked over the first few weeks about what the difference was between a regular Hishtalmut and the ideas that we wanted as a community. But very much from day one, it was, what do you want as a group? And one of the activities that I've done pretty much every year, I think, if not the first week, the second week, is to ask them what they want from the community and what they have to give. So looking at both sides of the coin, what I'd like to come and take from the community, but what do I have to give to the community? And then immediately once, what do I have to give to the community? And what do I want? We worked out together the structure of what we were going to be doing each session. So we sort of built the plans together for what the 9 sessions were going to be, more or less. And people volunteering literally to prepare ideas to share in each of those sessions. And then that together with the food and people taking on responsibility for bringing the food. And it might sound funny, but you know what? The food makes a really big difference. I remember back to when we
look at all the nodding heads.
I actually remember, like if I'm thinking back to the preamble to the communities with the cluster meetings that we had, and I hosted Melissa's cluster meetings in my school each time, and she would come with her bags of snacks and her bottles of drink. And it was Melissa coming and bringing, and also very much the sessions were Melissa sharing her ideas, even if we
spent so much time preparing those sessions. Wow.
And I also, looking back at my own sessions for my own original PLCs, my very first PLC, the amount of time I put into preparing what to give everybody, and until the penny dropped with me myself. It's what they want to give and what they come with, and honestly to try and make it as much as possible their agenda. And then they feel that they've got ownership of the community.
Right. Okay.
Melissa?
Yes.
Melissa, 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
There's one word that, I'm sorry, I had to answer a phone call, but I've been listening. There's one word that's been missing, and the word is learning. And even when Haley spoke, and Haley's been doing this for years, it's not just sharing and bringing. The idea that you learn something in a PLC, which is a professional learning community, the idea of learning new things, being out of your comfort zone a little bit in terms of learning, in terms of understanding that there is always something new to learn, okay? And that whatever anybody brings isn't just sharing a worksheet with me, it's teaching me something about my own teaching. and it's learning something about my own teaching, and it's learning and reflecting on something, those are terminologies and words that I want you to use, okay? I'm learning about myself. I'm learning something new. I'm bringing and sharing and teaching something new. And okay, the learning and the teaching and the being are together, but we can't just leave it as, oh, I'm going to share a couple of worksheets and then I'm going to leave, because then they're going to be really pissed off if they don't get a worksheet and they have to leave. Okay? And now that we're doing it virtually, that has to be much more
clear.
I was going to say transparent.
Yeah.
Okay. And not only that, I want to just say one thing about food. One of the things that I did with my lessons with my kids when we were in Corona was we had to make the same sandwich, or we had to bring the same snack to the lesson. So everyone had a cheese sandwich, or everyone had a drink, juice, or and then we had to show. And so you may not be able to share your food, but you can definitely share your recipes, or everyone can show their plate, or everyone can share whatever.
Hey, grandchild. Sorry.
Can we see grandchild too?
Hi. And on Amy's screen, he's like jumping up and going down, jumping up and going down.
I see, Amy. I have only some of you.
Hey.
In any case, I'll finish and then I'm going to let you go on to your next panel. What I was going to say was there are ways to do that, just like you do different backgrounds. You can do your plate of food, or you can do, everyone can make a fruit salad, and everyone, and then you're doing it communally, and it seems a little bit different.
Yeah. I think, like, if I were to redo the introduction at the beginning of here, based on what I just heard, I think I would ask, how do you take your coffee? And go around and ask each of you how you take your coffee, so that, you know, we can learn and share something with everybody. Okay, thank you so much. I'm sure there's even more. I think that if there was one word that I would add to this, I would say solving puzzles together. And I'm not saying solving problems on purpose, because we have challenges, right? But we are facing challenges or solving puzzles, and it's something that we have something on the table that we're working on together. And we want to work it out together, and everybody contribute their ideas in order to move everybody in the group to a new place together. So part of the time might be that one-sided, I share, you share, and part of it is that everybody building, you know, and together we're greater than alone. Okay, so this time, who am I going to choose first? Hey, somebody we haven't heard from yet. Paula, what color would you like to choose?
Red, Liverpool.
Oh no.
You took my color, but not
Where's Jackie?
Liverpool.
Oh, she's not here. We won the trophy.
Birmingham.
Good thing Jackie's not
Manchester
here.
United.
We won after 30 years.
Everton's blue. Good thing Jackie's getting her stitches out.
It's probably, there would be red.
I know, that's why I dare say it. How did a collaborative task add to the feeling of success or closure? Are we talking about the task that we did right at the end?
So the different communities at different times, it's really what we were just talking about, is something that together as a community you collaborated and worked on together, the smallest or the biggest, or in small groups, and then they shared whatever it is. And how did that contribute to a feeling of success in the course of your year, or a sense of success and closure at the end?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I was, hang on, let me think. Okay. It was very interesting, working backwards, it was very interesting. Right at the end, when we got the reflection, we asked what people wanted from next year's PLC. And one of the things that they said is they actually want to come out. I got the idea, basically they were, short and long of it was that they want to come out having a whole bank full of stuff that they can use. That same idea came up time and time again during the PLC. Basically, every time we had case studies, which not everybody did, but we did case studies, and as a result of the case studies, people brought the issues and other people helped them solve it. And then even more people were bringing suggestions, and here's something I've used and here's something you've used, and let's use it, and then we can improve it, and let's put it back together again, and then let's all share it. And it seems that that's what was going on. The WhatsApp group was wild. I mean, especially during the Corona time. It was, has anyone got an idea? Has anyone got a something or other? And everybody was like improving on each other's ideas until we just had incredible stuff working, you know, as a result of it. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, whatever your answer is, that's great. Thank you. And would somebody else like to answer that question as well?
Somebody said something just before, when you said something about sharing, that somebody brings something and they don't want to have to only give, they also want to be able to get. They don't want to, like we have a few of our teachers are very active, you know, they write their worksheets and they do their slides and all the rest of it, and then they bring it to the group and other people will say, oh, that's great, thank you. And then they didn't necessarily give something in return. And, you know, that's okay because that's who they are. So they gave other things instead. But that's something I was thinking of encouraging this year, that, you know, instead of doing the case study or the same kind of concept as the case study, you bring something, you explain it, people take what they want from it, adapt it, and then it's online. It's maybe maybe we'll have a site just for us where everything's nicely organized and people can take, adapt, and put back on the site.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think that it's really important. And I think that, you know, I would really love to see the building together so that when they, Zimrat, would you like to talk a little bit about some of our sessions where we actually created materials together as a group?
Yes, I'd like to add that I think that was one of the highlights of our community. I mean, people presented things that they did, but mostly we created together things that we need. We all, if it was for literature, if it was for vocabulary, or whatever need we had, we either worked, I mean, we're a small community, but we either worked in groups according to our needs or as a big group. And I think we all gained so much from it. Like we all had new materials or new ideas, and it wasn't just an idea that was, you know, in the air. We were actually able to come up with some new things for literature. Everybody felt like, you know, the old stuff that we have in Eric Cohen or the blogs that we're doing, we want some kind of a new perspective to it. And people really, you know, nothing was out there, and we brainstormed their ideas, then we sat down and we wrote the things up. We came up with lovely things that everybody could share and adapt to different levels, and I think that was like the added value to it. And some of the reflections was also,
Somebody's
you know,
phone is ringing very loudly.
One of the things that came up was that, you know, finally, like how you where it's hands-on, and it's not just someone talking in, telling me, you know, what they learned from, but we're actually doing this process together. And I think also the fact that I try to share, you know, every session I try to bring a little chuppah, a little thing, just like as a trigger, even like open them up to bring their ideas, and then we sat as a group and worked it out. Like I didn't have to come with ready-made things. It was what they wanted, and then working on it together according to the needs.
Okay, thank you
Can
very
I
much.
add something to that, Melissa?
Yes, Gabi, and then Yarden.
Okay, I just wanted to add that Adela and I introduced to the community station rotation, which was, for those of you who don't know, it's to break up the lesson to different stations, and the students rotate between the stations, and they get to do different tasks during the lesson. So they're up and out. It's a bit of read emotion. They're up and out, and they're doing different things and not sitting in a frontal lesson. And what I think contributed to the success of that session was that we actually got them hands-on to create the stations and then to experience them themselves. So they were on both sides of the coin. They were creating and they were experiencing, and then they got to see how they can do it in a team with their own teachers in their school, and how their students will feel when they do such an activity. And when we actually experienced it, we saw maybe the instructions weren't written well enough, or maybe students would get lost and wouldn't know exactly where they're meant to go. And once they experienced the things themselves, that contributed to the success. So it wasn't just brainstorming and sharing ideas, it was actually doing them in the PLC during the time of our community. And then they could go with more experience and a better hands-on experience to go and do it in the classroom. So I don't know how we'll do that on Zoom, but I really think that's an important thing which happened in the community, that we didn't just create, we also experienced.
Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Thank you. No, that's really helpful. Thank you so much. Yardain.
I just want to add that as last year I participated in the Western Galilee, and before we had lockdown, we started working on various tasks. And I remember I worked with Betsy and a few other teachers, and we started working on TED Talks. And then we were locked down. I was able to take what we worked on and turn it into something that I could do on as asynchronous learning with my kids. So at least what I liked about being able on these collaborative tasks is that you really get your juices working. You change, you think of new things, and everybody adds a little bit here, and eventually, and hopefully you can use it. And that's what I was able to do during closure, which I was very, very happy. And that's, that I felt really, because, oh, here, I've done something that we've learned. Did it change something that I've never taught before? I never did this before, and it worked really nice.
Fantastic. Amazing. That's what I love to hear that. I mean, this is great feedback. Okay.
I would like to do reciprocal. Yardain presented about MOOCs that I knew very little about, and I immediately volunteered at school to take the extremely high level 9th graders out of their lessons for 2 out of the 4 hours. And then I taught them. I had no idea before anything about this. Like I was this big macher after learning from Yardain. I just pretended to be. And I got them all doing MOOCs. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it really...
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, I have my eye on the time. And we have other things to discuss and not so much time left. So I think the fact that we had these really meaningful discussions, I'm just going to show you the other questions that maybe in the future we'll have a chance to discuss more. When you're getting your community off the ground, what happened that you wished you could have a do-over? I think, I don't know if you even want to answer that question, but we all have our moments that we wish we could do over. And it's okay. You can sit back and you can discuss it with your group, or you can reflect, self-reflect and just change for next time. And the groups are forgiving. They're used to terrible hishtalmuyot, where they walk out the door and don't even remember what happened in the room, right? So if you say, voila, just like, I think, the box thing that I did at the beginning, I don't think it went so well. I already have better ideas for next time. I'm okay sharing that with you, and we're going to change and improve for next time. Okay? Nobody's perfect. Everybody's here together. We're learning together, and you can always have a do-over, because they're going to get so much more out of this community than anything else they've ever participated in. And that's the important point. Not that you don't have to be perfect. You're a lead teacher in a group of people. Where do you sit or stand? Oh, I would love to ask you this very, very quickly. Paula, where do you sit or stand most often during your community sessions?
Whoa, I never sit. I stand all around. I mean, I'm walking around the whole time. I mean, they're in groups, so I'm just walking around from one to the next.
Okay, thank you. Martine, where is Sharon when she was leading your community?
Sharon was usually, we weren't in groups, we were one group. She would usually actually sit more or less in the same place.
But
we would
sitting...
We'd be like in a semicircle, like facing, because we had like, the projector thing on as well. She'd be kind of closer to that, just to be able to control that. And then when she did like if she was talking, she'd stand up and then she'd move around.
Haley, what about you?
I would say all of the above. There were times when my group was working in groups. Sorry, when they were working in groups, and I would be part of a group. There would be time when everybody was working in groups, and I would bob from group to group. There would be times when we sat sort of also in a semicircle because we were using the whiteboards, and I would just sit as part of the group within the whiteboard. There were it was no, I couldn't say there was one real static place for me to be.
Okay. And the next question, I'm not even going to ask you to answer out loud, but the question is why? Why do you choose that place to be? And I think that you probably want to think where you are and what the dynamics of the room are. You don't want to always be in the front. You want to sit in the back. You want to sit with a group. Where you are, is it making you feel like you're part of the group, or you're leading the group? Are you the teacher and they're the students, or are you an equal member of this group? So it's a question to ask yourself as you're thinking about your first session. We've had a lot of sentences of advice, so I'm not even going to stop there, but there are probably a lot more that people could share. And I hope that over our next meetings, we'll have a lot of favorite moments that we can share with each other. But collect them in a journal, if it's your first year, or if it's your second year, or if it's your fifth year, and share with us maybe at the end of the year what some of our favorite moments are, some of the things that really changed us as time went on.
I just want to say that the thing that you wrote there, one sentence of advice to the newbies, is just enjoy it. It's such a lot of fun. It really is.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have something that they must say? Go for it. Gabi, you're smiling. Do you have something you want to share? Just open your mic.
I wanted to say, I was thinking just that Adele and I always prepared so much to do during the community, and we had these slideshows, and in the end, the teachers just took over, and it was what they wanted, and we never got to, I don't even think half of what we wanted to ever. Right. So it's like Sharon said, you enjoy it because the ball's in their court, more or less. Right. You facilitate, but it's theirs. Yeah. And that's the beauty of a community, not where everyone's grading their tests.
Right. Sharon mentioned that the first year of the community in the Golan, I was the lead teacher. I would say about halfway through the year, I felt like I didn't even need to be there anymore. Like the ball was literally taken out of my hands. And they're like, Melissa, thank you so much for driving so far, but you don't have to really. And they're like, we're really fine on our own. And yeah, and I'm patting not myself on the back, but the members of the Golan community, is that while they didn't really know each other before, or they kind of knew that each other existed, they are now the tightest knit bunch of schools, like 8 or 10 schools, that they share and they care and they visit and they support. And it's really a reflection on the power of a professional learning community, that they've reached out, and they're so much more powerful as a result of having each other to depend on, and the community continues to facilitate that.
Sorry.
Yes.
At some stage during the year last year, we got some amazing advice, basically to stop using the slideshows, stop using the presentations. That's not what it's all about. We're not presenting to them. And it was great. After maybe 2 or 3 sessions, you said, okay, everybody stop using the presentations and just do it without it. And I felt the difference from then on.
Did you really break away and not use them at all?
Right.
Amazing. Wow. And what was the difference?
The difference was, well, it wasn't a Hishtamut. I was just facilitating an Alcoholics Anonymous.
I think the keyword is you can listen better when you're not speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the whole idea of facilitating a community is to speak as little as possible and have them speak as much as possible. And you cannot listen if you're speaking.
And so if you got to get through your slides.
The less you bring and the more you ask a question, and then just sit back and have your coffee, the better. Now, one thing you're going to have to take into account is that when it's on Zoom, it's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
All right. Especially if you have more than one page of people.
Right.
Okay. Because they can hide.
Right.
All right. And so that's something that we'll talk about. But just know that the less you do, or for example, one of the things that Melissa loves to do is she loves to put on a photo. Okay. It's even enough to bring up one of those funky photos from like the British Council or whatever, and have everyone break out into two and make a lesson about it. Okay, which is enough for an hour of work. Okay, it's enough. It's enough to just trigger and step back. Nobody says you have to know, and nobody says you have to give gifts all the time. Do not get them used to getting gifts. Get them used to working together. That's the name of the game. All right, getting gifts is nice, and have your children bring you flowers.
Amen.
Okay?
Always. Okay, thank you very much. Great sage advice. I just sent you a picture to your WhatsApp I have two screens. I saved an old computer screen from a computer that we got rid of, and now I hook it to my laptop. And so now what I can do is when I'm sharing my screen, if I am sharing a couple of slides or sharing materials or anything else, I still have you all on the other screen so that I can still see you. Right?
Oh my gosh, how
Can
do
you
do that?
teach us how to
I
do
need
that?
to know that.
It's a very, very, very complicated thing. I'm sending you a picture of that little blue plug, the same way that you would plug your laptop into the overhead
HDMI.
projector in school. You've got that little blue plug on the back of your screen, and you just plug that into the side of your laptop.
How
And
do you
voila,
get?
you've got a split screen.
How do you get not the same thing on? Because I also have a
You go into the settings.
Adele,
and
wait,
laptop.
Adele's taking over. Adele,
go
how do
in-
we?
Yeah.
This is
I've been using-
exactly what I need to know.
I've been using, I actually use 3 screens because I have 2 on my computer. Stop laughing.
We didn't think otherwise, Adele.
Don't judge me. I have 2 screens on my computer, and I have a laptop, which I
We
use
love
separately.
you, Adele.
Yeah. So you go into your settings and display. And in the display, there's a thing for multiple displays. And you can also just, Google it in YouTube and they will show you.
Or ask
It's
your
not
kids
very
because they
simple.
know how to do it.
Very, very simple.
It's not extend.
Yeah,
It's not as
well,
simple as
you have 3 choices. You can copy your screen so you use the same thing in 2 places. You can extend so that you see half here, half there, or which is what you're basically doing now, because basically I just drag things back and forth between the screens. And I can even have something half and half. Like this morning I had me on one screen and Adele on the other screen. Like I just dragged the Zoom halfway over. Okay.
Okay, that I don't get the half and half.
To turn off, you can turn off your laptop screen and have it only display on the other screen. But there's really no point in that.
I'm
'Cause
sending
you
you
lost
a
me.
link. I'm sending you a link.
It's all sending a link to show. It's not really what I meant to get into right now, but it is a very
Okay.
useful tool. Okay, so we've already discussed a lot of this, but it's important. I want to go over this. I want you to have my goal for you today is to walk away having some idea of the questions you need to try to find answers to between now and October. We've got plenty of time. We'll have a few more meetings, but just to put all of the issues on the table so that you can start playing around with ideas, okay? So yes, our communities, when pigs fly, we'll have face-to-face communities in October. I don't know, we're not even gonna see our
I have
students.
to say something. I have to break in. because Gabi can breathe again. Read my lips, Gabi. Rochelle will not be there.
Okay.
You can go on.
Okay. This is my same Rochelle that it marks Bagruyot and gives me hell. I'm sure of it. She's the cheese lady, right? The goat cheese lady? Okay.
It's Tishat Yamim. Let's keep it.
And she's not even Reed. She's not even a Reed school.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow. Okay. If our community will be face-to-face next year, you each have a location. You need to actually speak to the Rakazet Anglit and make sure she or he gets official permission from the school to host the community. You need to think about how you're going to handle refreshments because it's face-to-face, the exact timing when people, you have to make sure according to what I send you that everybody knows exactly the dates, exactly the hours, and that they have to be at exactly 80% of the sessions minimum before, or else they won't get credit. And don't start playing games with, oh, but I'll let you because you're so nice and I like your hair color, etc. No. And then we have to talk, what we've spoken about a lot today is the dynamics, how we're going to build the dynamics of a community so that they're not sitting like this at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but rather they're sitting forwards in their chair and they're looking and they're working together with us in order to, build a community. If it's virtual, we have other things we need to learn. We need to become experts on those Zoom tools. We need to know exactly how to handle a breakout room. Okay, how to split them up, how to bring them back, how to send them messages, how to visit room to room. If you want to move somebody from one room to another, how do you do that? It's something that has taken me a while. I've gotten people lost in cyberspace and locked out of the Zooms. I've done all kinds of terrible things. Okay, I've committed all of the sins. Haley floats in cyberspace.
There's
It's
people that are
ridiculous.
wandering around even now from this morning.
Still.
Oh.
Somebody popped back into we keep the same Zoom open all day long. Adele, Judy, and I were talking about something else, and suddenly somebody popped back in again. Apparently I had left her in a breakout room, and when she opened up her computer later, there she still was. I was like, what's she doing here? It was really funny.
It sounds like a bad Star Trek episode.
This whole Zoom thing makes me, the breakout rooms make me giggle. Like I kind of lose it every time because it's like apparating, like people appear and disappear and go places and come back. Anyway, and the polling, how to do polls and like all of the really nitty gritty of using Zoom so that you're proficient at it. You really feel like you're in control. You want to talk about pre-session warm-ups. How are they going to look different if you're running a virtual community versus if it was face-to-face? What Zoom games are going to be fun? What's going to work? What's going to flop? I had an experience with that recently. Interactive tools. What can we use to make sure that our community stays interactive? You want your people to be in breakout rooms a lot. You want them to come back and share. You want them to go back into the breakout rooms. You want to visit them there to see what's happening. Like we want things to be dynamic and not just everybody in a large group the whole time. So those are some of the things that we're going to want to think about and share ideas with each other and do research about how to keep the community vibrant and sharing even though it's on Zoom. And I prayed, like I think a best case scenario might be if we have some kind of a blended, maybe the beginning of the year we won't be together, but some point in the year maybe we will be able to meet. Or what Haley suggested is maybe we can meet in 2 small groups, like maybe we can make capsules of our community. And like this time, this group meets face to face and these other guys are on Zoom, and then next time the other way. Like we need to think about, we have to see according to the Hanchayot that will come out, how exactly we can handle running our community and seeing each other at least a little bit face to face. Judy, do you have something to add to this topic? No? Okay. So there, I just put a lot of questions
No,
on.
I do for 2 seconds, but really quick.
Go ahead.
We don't really know a whole lot. Okay, and we're gonna have to go with this by the go with the flow method, which isn't comfortable and it's not conducive to leading, but it is what it is. It's COVID-19. So it is what it is, okay? And we will definitely try when we can to be together. And if we can't, then we are going to have to be proficient in what to do differently. So if you don't know how to do breakout rooms and you don't know how to do all these things, don't panic. We have Adele and she will teach us. Okay?
Much better than me teaching you.
We have Adele and she will teach us. But breakout rooms is one of the ways that you can get people to work in smaller groups if they're not sitting in the same room. And it is something that we are going to have to know. How to poll, how to use reactions, how to do things, because the dynamics will be different during some of the periods of time. how we start it, how we get new people into the community, how we start a community when they don't know us. Those are things that we're going to talk about. We're not leaving you to your own devices. Okay, the things that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about them together. And those of you who haven't done a community will definitely have more meetings with Melissa at the beginning, towards the beginning, in order to know exactly what to do. But I kind of like it when we're all here, because then we learn from each other and we have our own community. So I definitely think that it's important that we all do this more than once, but definitely for more Pautani, the people who are just starting out new will definitely get. So don't panic about it. All right, just think about it. All right, I'm putting everyone on vacation for 2 weeks. It's a forced vacation. And I'm putting everyone on a forced vacation after tomorrow. This coming week, we have a couple of things. And then you're on vacation from the 29th until the 13th of August, when our party is for Sandra. Sandra's here, and I'm not talking to her. I'm still mad at her, and I don't care that she has a new grandson. I'm still not talking to her. I'm not talking to you because you're leaving me, and I'm taking it very personally. I know, it's okay. I signed for her to go. I know she needs to go. I do. I just love her and don't want her to go. So
we're actually
that's
just
not gonna
jealous.
we are. Oh my God, yeah. She has the most gorgeous grandchild. So, oh my God. Anyway, so that whole thing until we have 2.5 weeks that you guys are off, and I mean off. Read books, watch Netflix, do exercise. Okay, I don't want to talk to anybody. All right, don't start working on your community. No, we will take care of everything in the middle of August when we come back. Okay.
Can I just ask you when the community is supposed to start in any case?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
Fair enough.
assuming after Sukkot, but this is what I was going to tell you, that I was going to tell you a little bit about things that nobody knows, but that you shouldn't tell, but that I'm going to tell you anyway. So my non-Nostradamus person, which I seem to be right-er more than wrong-er, is that I'm sure from Erev Rosh Hashanah to Motzei Isur Chag, we're going to be in lockdown. I'm assuming that they're going to lock down the whole country so that it doesn't spread more before flu season. So what that means is that I'm assuming that we're starting school virtually. In addition, there's a tuta of something that's supposed to be coming out on Thursday. And this, again, this is, I don't 100% believe it, but it did come from the ministry and not from Yael Odem. So I'm assuming that it does have a little bit more credibility. That non-Kitat M subjects will be done virtually. In other words, there'll be groups of kids of 18 and they'll be learning in their Kitat M. So the Kitat M will be broken up into 2. And all of the subjects like Ezrachut, Tanakh, Lashon, all of the things that they learn together, those are going to be the ones that are going to be face-to-face 1 or 2 times a week. Everything else is going to remain virtual, like math and English and whatever. Now, if that is the case, that means that we're virtual. Okay? And if that is the case, then we can probably start our communities earlier because we're going to need them earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because we're going to need to support much more the teachers in the field, okay? And it'll also be good motivation for them to join the communities because they're gonna be home, okay? If we're starting more, we're definitely not starting full gas with everyone coming back to school in September. That's not happening, okay? And the blended part, I have a feeling, is gonna be Chinuch Chevrati and the core Hebrew subjects that they learn together in Kitot M, which means that if we're really starting virtually, which makes a lot of sense, then we can start the communities earlier. All right, but that's a decision that I'm going to make probably in the middle of August, and I'll let you know. So theoretically, we can start. The other thing is that a lot of you who are getting paid and not doing it as counseling, I have to make sure that I have the budget and that the government didn't flock out again. Okay? And I don't want you to start working until I know that I can pay you. So those are the 2 things that are like going like that. I'm sure I will be able to pay you, because it's on the books already. But again, we might have an election in November, and then I'm not, like, things just take time. And I refuse to have you do even 1 session if I don't know that I'm paying you. Okay, I refuse to have you work if I don't know how to pay you. It doesn't happen, all right? So let's just go with the flow for now. I'm not 100% sure. And you can't go to your schools now and say, Judy said we're starting virtually, because they don't know about it yet. And it hasn't come out yet. And I'm sharing, country secrets with you. So it stays with you for a couple of days until Dusty puts it out, and then I'll share it with the coordinators. I will not be talking about it on the coordinator meeting tomorrow because I don't have it in writing. Okay, I'm sharing it with you. It's insider trading, and it needs to stay insider trading.
I have a question, Judy.
Yeah, sure,
Do you
Gabby.
think the teachers will be emotionally, mentally, I don't know, okay to start a community right at the beginning of the year with all this change?
I actually think that they're going to need it and maybe want it. Okay, they don't have to leave their house, and they don't have to set a babysitter as much as they would if they were leaving, driving an hour and a half, then driving an hour and a half back and sitting for 3.5 hours. We're also going to have to figure out how long our sessions are, because 3 hours on the Zoom is too much. So we're going to have to figure out how that works. Okay, it might have to be blended, where they have a flip something, where they have to watch something beforehand and then talk about it. They may have some task before, and then they work a little bit by themselves during, and then they, like we did the final tasks, where they sort of worked together, and then they finished it together, but at home, like, you know what I mean? So I'm not 100% sure exactly. I'm still in the Zorem phase.
Okay.
So the more I know, the more I can make decisions, at least for the framework.
Okay.
And I'm sort of waiting for Dusty's document. So when I know, I'll send it.
Thank you. Okay, Judy, if you can go ahead and send out on the Read Counselors group that will be starting at 5:40 and send them the link, that would be great, because not everybody's here. No, right now it's 5:30, so I need 10 minutes to finish up here. And 5:45, we'll start with the counselors, okay?
I'm doing my best.
The topics
with us as well, counselors?
No,
I'm not a counselor. I'm a coordinator. Tomorrow's coordinators. I'm very confused. Tomorrow's coordinators.
Counselors need to pee between meetings.
Yeah, exactly. So 5:45.
No peeing allowed. I'm sorry. No peeing
We choose
allowed.
our counselors based on the size of their bladder. Okay.
There you go.
Well
done.
What we're not discussing today, but we discussed a little bit. Does your community have a predetermined content? We discussed how the answer is really no to that question. I just wanted to say that we're not officially a national community this year, which means we do not have a full obligation to teaching Siona Levy's chosen curriculum.
Hasn't written it yet.
At the same time,
recording. Adele, stop recording. Adele, stop recording.
Recording.
This is why we never share. Okay.
Stop recording.
We never share.
We never
Can
share.
I share now?
Yeah,
Debbie.
That
I think that was one of the huge problems that I had with my PLC. It was double-edged. It was that, and the fact that quite a few of the people that were there because they were told they have to be there because they have to take a course about the new curriculum, and they were absolutely uninterested in, and I'm sure Yarden knows which people I'm talking about clearly. They just thought they knew everything, and they had nothing to learn from us, right, Yarden?
I agree. The shackles of the vocabulary was just very frustrating, and instead of learning and enriching each other, it did make it very frustrating sometimes.
Okay, so at the same time that we don't have the same amount of content that we need to share, I think that, moral obligation might be a little bit heavy-handed in my language, but maybe it caught your attention. And you as a lead teacher, as Judy just said, has a certain amount of information that other people don't have. And one of them is that you have or will have more insight into where the national curriculum is going, the can-do statements, I wrote these things down that I wanted to say out loud and sound very intelligent, but I flipped the page since then. The can-do statements, a certain amount of vocabulary work, because that's where our students are heading, and we can't put our heads in the sand about that. The whole issue of mediation, which is something that's being added into the new curriculum, makes me very curious. I'd like to kind of explore that together with a wonderful group of teachers. So I think that we have the obligation to kind of not say this is what we're doing today, but to say, so how can this, or how can we fit in, or what does it mean? Or, and I'm sure that people in your community also will kind of perk up and say it, and you won't have to, right? Isn't it best when it comes from the students, you know, that they'll say, but what about the can-do statements? And, you know, people will kind of on their own want to bring in those things. So it's important that we have that body of information and awareness beyond, you know, a teacher, they say a university professor comes into the classroom, he knows 80% more than what he's going to talk about in class. Right? Now, we're not professors, we're not professing, we're not speeching, okay? But we do need to know, we have to have a body of knowledge and foresight greater than what we're doing in the class, so that we, in the community, so that we can kind of add, we have our own stuff to add, right? In addition to what people bring. So that's something that we...
Wait, Melissa. One of the things that I want to say is, even as a teacher, think about it. And this is, I'm sorry, the only reason why I'm thinking about this is because this is tomorrow, my speaking with the coordinators. Okay. The new curriculum is what we have now. It's just a little bit to hear. And what does that mean? You're not going to bring an assignment to your class or a text to your class if they can't read it, if it's too high of a level, or if they don't have the vocabulary for it, or if they don't know more than 10 words in the text, it's way too hard, okay? And so you have to think about what your students can do before you bring them something. You have to know if they have the vocabulary before you bring them something, okay? Those are always the pre-reading activities or the prerequisites to what we're doing, all right? I don't think that the can do and the vocabulary are shackles, although I do understand, Yarden, why you say it. I think it's the way we present it as not being a totally new thing, okay, but as being something that we do anyway, that we're putting into a box that suits us, and everyone's box looks different, okay? Everyone thinks about the types of activities that they bring or that they want to create with other people based on which class. We always say, are you teaching non-readers, 3, 4, 5, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, all right? We do categorize, and the categorization that we do use based on our group is how much they know or what they are able to do and what they need to learn how to do. So I don't think that the can-dos are that far. I'm not the greatest fan of the way it works and the way it's being presented. And I definitely don't think that the way we presented it last year was the way that I would have thought of presenting it. And we were in a bit of a box because the courses were national and we had to do that, which is one of the reasons why we're not doing it that way. And I'm purposely taking it upon myself to zoom out from that and allow us a little bit more autonomy to do what we want with our communities. But I don't want to say we're not doing that at all. And I don't want to say, because at some point we need to prepare our teachers for the fact that there will be a new curriculum, whether we like it or not. And it's definitely not going to be our decision. And the people in this, it's not even my decision. Okay, it's Siona's decision. And at some point, the jargon is important for us to use. So even if you say to your community, look at what you just prepared for 3 points, whatever, what do the students know? What will they need to know in order to do it? And what are you teaching them? Which are exactly the can-dos and the vocabulary and the skills. All right, so it doesn't really matter the jargon that we use. The tfisa is still the same tfisa we've always had. It's just we're calling it something a little bit different. And now she's giving us lists. As long as we don't give out our students 400 words at the beginning of the year and say, memorize these for E, then we're fine. In other words, as long as we're not using it as a go and do by yourself, shoo, I'm just going to do whatever I want, then we're using the right language and we're teaching. All right. And so I agree, but I want to put it in perspective. It's not the end all be all, but it's something that we do anyway, just with different names. It's a different flavor ice cream, but it's still all the calories. All right.
Thank you. Now, if you look into really jumping right off of what Judy was talking about, is that if we look for guiding questions for a PLC, what should guide our inquiry in a professional learning community? We look at these questions that are on the screen in front of you, and I think that it connects very much into what we were just talking about. Like, I can't just go out to see wherever. I can't think of the metaphor that I want right now. It's been a long day. I need to keep my eye on the ball. I need to say, what is expected of my students to learn? How will we know they're learning? How will we respond when they don't learn? And for the gifted student, how will we respond if they already know it, right? How are we going to take those really successful students and take them even further? And as a teacher, this is what we want to do. And as a lead teacher in a group, this is where we want to take the members of our community into this type of inquiry together. And hopefully we'll have another wild ride together this year. I really hope that we all enjoy it. Again, I'm just thrilled when I look around the Zoom screen at the quality, amazing, wonderful, giving, creative people that we have on the team this year, who are really, really excited about each and every one of you. Looking forwards, we have two things that we need to schedule before the end of the summer. First of all, I am unscheduling the simulation for this week, for Tuesday. Okay, you have very valid concerns. It was unavoidable, so I'd like to push it off. Now, they're offering us August 19th for simulations. Can everybody open up your calendar? And don't expect me to remember what you're going to say now. Please write in the WhatsApp group. And by the way, like in general, we try to keep the WhatsApp group pretty quiet. I mean, we share really amazing tools and conversations there. But if I ever write anything there about dates, etc., please do your best to respond in a timely manner, because we just need to sometimes get through scheduling something else. So do your best to respond to those comments one after another, and then
Melissa?
I'll shut up again. Yes.
Melissa, maybe like we have the Read Counselor's diary, Google Diary calendar, we should have a calendar for lead teachers?
We can definitely do that. I can put onto your calendars, but just for this moment, I need to make sure that this date is open, because I'd really like to have all of the lead teachers on August 19th. I believe it's from 9 to 11 a.m., but I have to check because they have morning and they have afternoon slots. I'm just not sure which one they're offering us. So please write in the WhatsApp group if August 19th is okay for you. Give me a thumbs up there. And then the other date that I'm asking you to check, this is specifically for the 3 new lead teachers. I mean, anybody's welcome to join us as well, but what I'm going to do is go a little bit more deeply into some of the theory and the how-tos of running a professional learning community and how it differs from any other kind of course. And I won't be talking the whole time. You guys can do a lot of the talking. I talked way too much today. I did everything today that I would not want you to do in your community, is talking so much.
Melissa, I have a question. What are these simulations? I feel like I missed something.
No, not at all. If you don't know what a simulation is, then you don't know. It's basically another word that used to be used as a sociodrama. It's basically, and it's going to be on Zoom this time, although we used to do it face-to-face. They have professional actors and they have scenarios. And there might be different scenarios that you might confront as a lead teacher, trying to convince people to come, or you have somebody who's coming who's talking too much and can't shut up, or you have somebody who's coming and complaining the whole time in the back of the room and saying, what are we doing here anyway? Or you might have a principal who says, I don't want, I don't know, all of these difficult situations that you might find yourself in that you want to solve in a happy manner so that everybody's just like happy at the end of the day and thinks that the community is the best thing since sliced cheese and, wanting to continue. It can be conflict resolution, and it can be practicing that conflict resolution with bye Zimrat, thanks for coming, the conflict resolution with a very positive outcome where everybody's mediation, everybody's had their say, and you work out a solution together. Okay, so these are basically an opportunity to practice this with a trained actor who's playing the part of the recalcitrant participant or principal or, you know, whoever it is, and you're trying to solve the problem. Then afterward, there's an opportunity for you to share how you felt, for you to get feedback from the other members of the group where they say, wow, Tal, you were awesome when you did such and such, and I made a note of when you did this and that because I'm going to use that next time. And then somebody also might want to give some feedback about what you what they would have might have done differently. And then the actor also has a chance to give you feedback about how they felt and how they felt really happy when you said this, or they felt uncomfortable when you said that. And it's tremendous feedback for you as a teacher and as a lead teacher in terms of being able to reflect on what happened and maybe how to do it differently next time, what to hold on to. And we learn from other people also, like everybody's watching, so we can see. So that's what it is. So there's usually about 2 or 3 scenarios that we move through, plus the debriefing afterwards.
Did we do that, Debbie? Didn't you do it in the group that I was in? Didn't we do that with I can't remember the curriculum thing.
The curriculum.
Yeah, we had it with the curriculum. Debbie
That's
was
right. June the 9th. June the 9th.
Yeah.
The day of my mum's operation.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. How's your mom doing?
Thank God, miracles.
Mamash. Wow. Baruch Hashem. That's great to hear. I'm so happy.
Baruch Hashem. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Yofi. So that's the idea. Okay. So can you give me a thumbs up if August 19th is okay for you? Not so. Okay, so we'll see. I'll see what you wrote in the, oh, I see another one. Okay, so, and again, it's only, say, 2 hours. So if you can come, even if you're doing something that day, if you can take a chunk of time. And then August, I also need feedback about August 25th from the new lead teachers. That date's a little more flexible. If you can, Tal, I'll check what time it is as well. Okay. So thank you very much for coming. It was great to see you all, and I hope to see you on August 19th and the 25th.
Tomorrow. We see everyone tomorrow.
Tomorrow, if they're
What
coordinators.
What time?
Quarter to 8.
In the evening.
7:45 p.m.
We've
Yeah.
now turned into a Mr. Rogers Neighborhood show. We get to see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow. That's right.
Tomorrow.
That's right.
And then we'll
That's
all
right.
change
and
our
I
shoes
could
now.
and put our sweaters on.
That's right.
I have a cardigan on the back of my door.
What would Mr. Rogers have done in Corona times when he didn't have to change his shoes at the beginning and at the end of each session?
He do have to change his shoes, but he wouldn't have been able to see all of his friends.
Mr. Rogers is from Pittsburgh, guys, where I was born and raised.
Oh,
Where I went to college.
really? Where my in-laws began their married life.
And Amy is from Pittsburgh also. Tal.
Zanachon.
Wow.
Amy's from Squirrel Hill.
Truth.
Oh, that's where I was born.
There you go. And I lived in Shadyside. Over the tracks.
All right. So if you're a lead teacher and not a counselor, ta-ta. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
We're always here for you.
Bye, all. I'm going to pee for Haley.
Yeah, everybody. I'm going to have a brain break.
Are we
I
in
need
the
a brain
same link?
break. I need a whole body break.
Yeah. Hi, Dane. What's
Same
up?
link? Melissa, same link?
Yeah, same link. We're staying here.
Adele, I wrote you something. Have you tried a Google Meet as opposed to Zoom?
No, I have not. I read about it and I wasn't best impressed.
That's like Liverpool versus what other team?
Well, because
Manchester City.
Manchester.
She's the queen of Google. I thought maybe have you checked it out? As opposed to
I
using
haven't
Zoom.
tried it. I mean, I used to do Hangouts all the time before Zoom, before they went away. I haven't tried Meet. I haven't. Like, I figure, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, I'm baiting you. Okay.
Have you tried it?
No, I that's what I'm asking. But like, I know it looks up in the Google Classroom. And that's why I'm asking. It's also there, and it's supposed to be good. I don't know. I haven't used it yet.
Yeah. So I don't know. Sandra, have you tried it?
No, I haven't. But I heard about it from people that have tried it, and they said it's slower than Zoom. So that's a problem because.
But hey, we could
sometimes you
try it
get
sometime.
disconnected.
We could try to do a meeting on Meet.
The heck of it.
Try it out.
just like a run, see what the what are its advantages, disadvantages, etc. Okay, I will say
What I heard is very good too is the Microsoft Teams for Business. That's also very good.
For business, do you have to have a business account for that?
Yep.
But do schools have it? Like schools have an
No.
agreement with Microsoft?
No.
Hey, so we ain't paying for that. Anyway, we have this Zoom room now. Oh, he's gone. Okay. So we have this Judy's Zoom room now. So I'm gonna wait a minute.
I'm gonna get a drink of water. Thanks, Nazi. I'll be right back.
Where Simon says.
Coming back in a sec. I'm gonna grab some water. I need to drink.
Yeah. Sandra, look at my collection. My collection.
Wow.
So how was that, guys? You were in and out. Nazi, how was that?
Refreshing. It was a lot to do with, like thousands of questions in my head, and I'm actually walking into darkness. To be honest, I'm really happy that there's a kind of freedom in the concept and all this. And I have some ideas, yes, and from my micro kind of dealing with my own personal stuff and see how it can apply to a bigger, you know. But see, those people are actually heroes to me. They're heroines. So a bit overwhelmed, but you know, interesting.
Like what Gabi said is really true, that everybody walking into their first community feels kind of blind. Like, and you know, like as much as I can like talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, like you just have to, it's like riding a bicycle. You just have to like believe, believe and look at the horizon. And then you just, you know, you go and you have the tremendous advantage of having been in a community, right? With Jackie. And so now your community doesn't have to work out to be identical to Jackie's because everybody has a different personality. And I think that a community successfully like evolves and changes over time. Sandra had 2 different communities, and I think you would say that both of them they were each very, very different, right, Sandra?
Very, very different.
And how did you deal with that difference between them?
Just, I don't know, just going with the flow.
Go with the flow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my question is like, whether you adapt yourself with the community or the community has to adapt to a kind of personality you have. It's like
I think it's a magic that happens. I think it's somewhere in between.
Balancing. Okay.
Yeah. I sucked at my marriage, but I think it's kind of like a marriage. Like
then we won't take advice.
Yeah, I know, right? Sometimes you let them lead because they seem to want to go somewhere. And sometimes they come in and they don't really know where to go. And then you kind of have to take the lead. Like I think it's
the vibe.
A situational thing. I mean, you can prepare a lot of things, but you may not do anything. And if you don't prepare a lot of things, Murphy will make them not want to do anything. Like, it's always good to have some sort of backup in case they're all exhausted and they don't really want to lead. But then again, you should try and throw something out and let them run and not just blah, blah, blah at them.